like a chair, there's some seats over here as well. Oh, yeah, why don't you sit in the second row? Yeah. Go straight up and down, you can turn a little on the side. And friends, at this time we are going to begin the services for Earl Ruben. Again, just as a final reminder, if you have a cell phone or pager, please take a moment to make sure it's silenced or in the off position. And officiating today's services will be Rabbi Philip Sherman from Congregation B'nai Jehoshua Beth Elohim.
Yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai. 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 So good morning, everybody. We gather today to remember Earl. And we do so with a heart broken but full. A world different because he was in it. And certainly because he is no longer with us in body. May Earl's memory be bound up with goodness and comfort. Bringing you, God willing, smiles and abundance of love. Today we're with Earl's family in their mourning, his sister, Terry, the nephews, Joel and Brian, and their families, Beth and Sarah, Noah, Margot, and Liza. It's my hope that you find great meaning and comfort in the times that you shared with Earl. The well of memories is full, and I hope you find comfort in sharing those memories with those close to you. The rabbis say of a righteous person that even in death they continue to live. The light is dim at this moment, but the light of Earl's spirit will not burn out. The light will continue to burn strong in the memory of those people for whom he cared. The light will continue to burn strong when we live up to the values for which he stood. The light will continue to burn strong in the hearts of those he loved and who loved him. May Earl's memory continue to shed light and warmth on those who were blessed to know him. And so at this time, we begin our service reciting Psalms, connecting Earl's memory and legacy to God and to the entire Jewish people. Words of Psalm 15. Adonai mi yagur be'ohalecha mi yishkom b'char kodshecha, holech tamim u'pol tzedek v'dover emet bilevavo. Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Psalm 121. Esayenai eleharim me'ayin yavo ezri Esayenai eleharim me'ayin yavo ezri Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim v'haaretz Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim v'haaretz. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. Rabbi Harold Kushner once wrote a book about the 23rd Psalm. And in it, he teaches that the 23rd Psalm conveys the wisdom of generations, offering us a way of seeing the world that renders it less frightening, teaching us to deal with the loss of people we love. Instead of forsaking a God who permits our loved ones to die, it introduces us to a God who is with us in our loss and who leads us through the valley of the shadow of death and back to light. Let us read the words of the 23rd Psalm together. You can find them on the inside. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, Bihino tesheyar bitzeini, Al me menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, Nafshi yeshovev, Yancheni b'magle tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki helech b'getz al mavet, Lo yirara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha, Shivtecha umishantecha, Hema yenachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan, neged sorerai. Dihi shanta v'shemen roshi, di shanta v'shemen roshi. Dihi shanta v'shemen roshi, kol sirevaya. Ach tov v'chesed, yirdefuni, kol yemei chayai, Vishavti beveit Adonai, Vishavti beveit Adonai, lehorech yami. So at this time, we'll hear some words of eulogy from Earl's family. So first I'd like to invite his sister Terry.
When I think about Earl, the one word that comes to mind is unique. He lived his life in a unique way, and he was a unique man. He never was swayed or intimidated by anything else going on. He knew what he wanted, and he lived his life that way. Starting with the two things, and only two that I know of, that he disliked: change and stress. He did his best to avoid these things at all costs. First of all, he lived in the same place for over 50 years, making few changes. He had a rotary dial phone with the same phone number that we had when we were kids. He had that, even till now. He had a job at the post office with little stress. He kept his life simple. No electronics to get frustrated with or to have to figure out. Now for the things that gave him the most joy. First of all, our relationship, which was unique like he was. Because we were 9 years apart, we basically were in two different generations. We were like two only children in the same family. When I was 9 years old, he went away to college, and we never lived together again. He had many different memories from childhood than I did. Lately, he shared some of those memories with me, mostly about our parents, of our dad, who died when I was only 5 years old. He was 14, so he had lots to share. For instance, he said our parents were thinking about moving to Arizona. How different my life might have been. Even when they went there to try it out. They rode a motorcycle together. Funny, I can't picture my mother on the back of a motorcycle. Not even close. Earl told me that my mom was having him teach her how to drive. She never drove a car, but she knew that probably I was going to move to the suburbs someday. So she was having him teach her to drive. Despite our age difference, we were close in that unique way. When I grew up and had a family, we never missed a week of seeing each other. His life was very simple, but he was involved in every aspect of my life. He knew all my friends very well. He was included in holidays and in events with my friends. I was lucky to have two wonderful in-law families. Earl, Uncle Earl, was always included and welcomed as part of those families, too. He was adopted by them as I was. He loved my sons, Brian and Joel. Unconditionally, he loved them. He loved and understood their wives, Beth and Sarah, and he adored and got a kick out of my grandchildren, kind of his grandchildren too. He loved hearing about them. Now, certainly he thought they were the brightest and the most beautiful and the smartest, but he just got a kick out of hearing the stories about them. Earl loved boxing, from the old Friday night fights to the pay-per-view. He loved watching fights. He knew statistics and trivia. He loved going to the casino and the gambling boat with $20 to lose. Maybe 50 later on, but 20 for sure. He loved old movies and new movies. He even spent extra for Turner Classic Movies. For the last few years, I've tried to make Earl's life as stressless as possible. Throughout his life, he was very frugal, as you might know. But he told me he loved saving money and watching it grow. He always wanted to be able to take care of himself in his final years. I'm sorry he didn't get a little more time to do that. It wasn't in God's plan. I love you, Earl. You're not dead in my heart. And I'll think of you every day the rest of my life.
I'll try. So, I was going to start today by saying that Brian and I only had one uncle. We didn't even call him Uncle Earl. We just called him Uncle. We only had one. But it's interesting that with those of you who've come today and some of your relatives, I guess I had a lot of uncles. And thank you for coming. As my mom mentioned, my uncle loved going to the gambling boats. He went once a week when the bus would come and pick everybody up at Winston Towers. And I knew that he, and obviously only the $20 or maybe $50 in his later years. And when I was in my 20s, I was in between jobs and I somehow had negotiated a month off. And I called him up and said, hey, do you want to go to Vegas with me? And he said yes, and he didn't like flying. And so he said, I'll tell you what, since you want to do this, I'll pay for the trip, but you have to pay for the gambling. So I went on that trip with him, and it was only time that I was alone with him, and Uncle, I'm never gonna forget that trip. I love you.
In the rising of the sun and its going down, you'll remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, you'll remember him. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, you will remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, you will remember him. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, you will remember him. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, you will remember him. When you are weary and in need of strength, you remember him. When you are lost and sick at heart, you will remember him. When you have joys you yearn to share, you will remember him. And so long as you live, he too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. So tonight begins the holiday of Yom Kippur, a day of reflection and atonement, a day to remember how we have been and truly how we aspire to be. And so as we gather this morning, we certainly think of Earl and the ways we remember him, and the ways in which he inspired you all to live with so much love and generosity of spirit. Earl lived his life in the way he wanted to live, as Terry said, unstressed, but deeply fulfilled. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai once asked his students, what is a good way for a person to live their life? One of his students said to have a good eye, another said to be a good friend, and a third replied to have a lev tov, a good heart. Rabbi Yochanan then said, I prefer Rabbi Eliezer's answer. For those who have a lev tov, a good heart, also possess these other qualities. Earl certainly had a lev tov, a good heart. It's clear to me that you are all blessed by Earl's goodness, and that you will continue to bring blessing to his name in the way you cherish his memory and allow it to live within and around you in the ways that you live in this world. Letting moments of your lives that were illuminated by Earl serve as meaningful stopping points and points of memory in your own journeys in life. Of all the things that you shared with me the other day, you said that when Uncle came to dinner, which he did every Thursday night, he had a set of notes or a note card written upon it with questions to make sure that he would ask you guys about how things were going in your lives. And that just kind of stopped me because it's so beautiful in the way it represents somebody's care and desire for deep connection and meaning. What a beautiful way that Earl showed his love for you and your family. This shows compassion and care and kindness and generosity and a deep appreciation for you, who you are and who he thought you would become. This was love. Love that will remain even in his death. Love that will be remembered and serve as a source of light, just like the stars in the sky. Chana Senesh once wrote, the Israeli poet, there are stars up above, so far away we only see their lights long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest nights, these are the lights that guide us. And in that way, these are the ways we remember. If you're able, I invite you to please rise for the memorial prayer of El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Hamze Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina Im Kedoshim Utohim Kezohar HaRakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Earl Ruben Shalach Lolamo B'halachamim Yasdirehu V'seta Knafav Leolamim Yitzru B'tzuach Hayim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachlato V'yanuach B'shalom Al Mishkavo V'nomar Amen. God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has gone into eternity find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold him close to you forever, so that his soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May he find home with you, and may he rest in peace, and together we can say, Amen. Adam Adonai yeh, were immortal to live but a single year or even 1,000, Lo hayah yeh, would not seem enough. Baruch Dayan ha'emet. We therefore praise the judge of truth who takes but who also gives life. We know, Adonai, that your discretion is beyond us. We know, Adonai, that your word is good to us, but your judgments at times puzzle us. Tzadikata, we place our trust in your righteousness and accept our lot and our loss, and the love that remains with us forever. Lachem apreitat zon yadecha. Have mercy upon us and strengthen us to maintain our courage at this time of sorrow. Adonai natan, Adonai has given. Adonai lakach, and Adonai has taken. Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. Praise be the name of Adonai. Shalom. May all come to his eternal home in peace. In our tradition, it is our custom to place earth into the grave as a mitzvah, a righteous act which we do without any hope of reward. And with this act, we take on the responsibility of caring for our loved ones until the very end, because our loved ones deserve to be buried by kind hands, knowing hands, sorrowful hands. And so we're going to begin by inviting Earl's family to do this mitzvah, to participate in this mitzvah. A painful act, however, one born of love and compassion for those who have meant so much to us. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. With Job we have said, God you have given, God you have taken away, blessed be the name of Adonai. May Earl's memory be a blessing as we mark that his essence never leave our hearts and souls. So we'll place some earth from the land of Israel in your hands, and I'll have you place it in the ground, and then we'll join together with Mourner's Kaddish, and then afterwards everybody will have an opportunity to place earth. It's a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be. To be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. I want to invite us to find the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which we'll recite in just a moment. They can be found on the back of the handout. Let us join together. Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, v'yamad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaser. Itadar v'taleh v'talal shmei dekutsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Huya aseh shalom. Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Zichrono livracha, may his memory be for a righteous blessing. Together we can say Amen.
Anybody else that would like to come forward, and you can approach the grave from either side, and you can cast, some people have the tradition of casting 3 measures of earth into the grave. And friends, if I could just have your attention for just a moment. The family will be receiving calls of condolence on Thursday evening from 7 until 9 p.m. at the Lewis Residence, 322 Basswood in Northbrook. And the family has also requested any memorial contributions to the American Red Cross for the Hurricane Relief Fund or American Cancer Society. That information is available on the service folder that you received when you came today. And excuse me. And for those of you joining us online, that information is available on our website. And friends, as we prepare to finish the service here, and the cemetery staff in just a few moments will complete the task of filling the grave, we'll ask everyone to form 2 rows, standing shoulder to shoulder and across from each other to make an aisleway for the mourners to walk back through and return to their cars. And this will conclude the services here at the gravesite.
Another one.